The World Championships, we have a moment to reflect on what it was like under the old Soviet system here when Russia and its sports were really in lockstep, the perfect image of steely control. In the nearly 15 years since the fall of communism, much has changed, of course, and that mighty sports machine has crumbled, leaving in its wake opportunity, but also struggle and uncertainty. So what is it like here for the families here, the children, and also especially the athletes who are trying to duplicate the exploits of the state-funded stars who came before them? Rachel Nichols reports.
Today is Valentina's birthday. Her family has gathered in her three-room home, which she shares with her husband, her mother, and her two young sons, Yura and Ilya. The Brytkov life is Spartan. No shower, only an outhouse. No money for gas heat, only a wood stove. But the Brytkov boys do have hockey. As a truck driver, Yuri earns about $360 a month, and sometimes up to 3 months of his salary goes toward hockey equipment. The same kind of sacrifice is made for one of Ilya's teammates. Vanya Sokolov is being raised by his grandmother and mother, who scraped together an income of $330 a month.
His goalie's uniform cost $600. Gloves cost $200. Now he needs a helmet since a goalie must have good protection, and we are saving money to make it a birthday gift. We wanted to replace our old window frames, but we couldn't afford them.
The families are aware that under the old Soviet system, the equipment would have cost them nothing. Back then, youth were steered into highly organized sports schools. The schools were funded by the state for the sole purpose of developing not just world-class athletes, but world-dominating athletes.
At that time, sports was a political thing. It was a demonstration of the fact that socialism is better than capitalism, than Soviet Union is better than America.
It was like a billboard for the country. Then all of a sudden, there is no need to have such a billboard.
All the past system of sports in the Soviet Union or in Russia collapsed, because they were financed by trade unions. Trade unions collapsed. It was awful.
When the Soviet government fell, the sports system was also left in shambles. Half the schools closed. Raising an athlete became a very uncertain mission.
The state took care of those things, and now it can only do it on a piecemeal or patchwork basis. So it's quite an adjustment for any parent who is hoping to create possibilities for their children.
We are worried. It takes a lot of money. In Soviet days, it was more straightforward. Everybody was treated equally. But these days, some are treated this way and others differently.
Now we feel separated into the rich and the poor.
5 miles away, a communist rally is being held. Russians frustrated with 1 in 4 people living below the poverty line, and that an American quality doctor's visit costs $150. Only 10% of the population can afford that, and now an average Russian man can only expect to live until he's 59 years old.
15 years ago, I was still young, and my outlook has changed since then. When we had the Soviet Union, we had stability.
But there is also some encouragement here as Russians explore their new freedoms.
For my mother, the old time's better. For me and for the younger members of my family, the present is good. Time is passing by and changes must come about.
100% now is better. because as an elite athlete, I have a lot of opportunities to find money myself. It's a good thing. I think it's better to be a millionaire than to be poor.
It's the new bargain in Russia. Instead of playing for the state, athletes play for themselves. It's a system that's proved most fruitful in individual sports like figure skating and tennis. But the government would like to revitalize team sports as well. Slava Fetisov, the captain of the 1980 Soviet hockey team that lost to the Americans, is now Russia's Minister of Sport. He's trying to re-centralize the system and restore the schools, but it has been a slow process.
To be athlete or coach, it's one thing. To be bureaucrat, I mean, it's on any level, in any country, it's not easy. You're gonna build up step by step what you need, and I know what I want, and I hope it's gonna happen soon.
All parents are trying to give the best to their kids. They want them to achieve more than they have themselves achieved. That is why we do as much as we can to provide opportunities for them. So our investment is in our kids.
It is the best investment for money.
In hope that someday it will pay back.
Hope. In this new Russia, it's the best shelter many of the people here can find.
And that dream of one day going from skating on the frozen ponds as a youngster here in Russia to maybe playing in the NHL, it's certainly a long shot. The last they played, there were 1,244 players in the National Hockey League. 102 of those were born in Russia. So, Peter, the odds certainly not good if you're dreaming of that. But how about the athletes now here in Russia? Some say that once the generation that was raised in that old Soviet system goes away, things will certainly change. You think so?
Well, the depth definitely has diminished, but they still have great coaches like the legendary Tamara Moskvina, who 6 years ago went to the United States and has since moved back to Russia. Then there's Alexei Mishin. He coaches Plashenko, and between them, they have coached skaters to 5 Olympic titles. And I actually got to spend some time recently at the Red Army Club. That used to be the mecca for hockey and figure skating during the Soviet era. There were a lot of kids practicing with enthusiasm and passion for a sport that I think is a big part of their culture, and I don't think you can discount that.
We'll see what happens in the future, but the current crop's still winning championships. Much more to come from Moscow. The pairs begin their quest for gold next.